This is going to be a good one. When did you meet Clay Clark?
Summer of 2021.
Man, taking a while to set this one up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you think they're going to do it?
Do what?
Save TruthStream.
Well, yeah, it's only 99 cents. I think so.
Well, that's what I was thinking, but, they haven't done it yet.
Some of them have.
That's true. I mean, that QR code makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, well, the one on the left, it's 99 cents a month to subscribe, and then the one on the right?
Well, they can contribute anything they want at any time they want. So I think we got it covered.
I think so. What about a link?
Yeah, I know. My phone was blowing up. People wanted to know, yeah, I'm on my phone. How can I use the QR code? And they're below, but they Rumble put a underwear ad right underneath the video, so you have to scroll below the ad. It's ad. Not. Yeah, thanks, Rumble.
Or if people go to our YouTube or our Telegram.
YouTube, honestly, it's the one thing they made easy.
Yeah.
And Telegram, well, that's as straightforward as it gets.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Easy. But anyway, let's watch this interview with Clay Clark. I think it's going to be great.
Yep. All right, here we go. Yeah. Welcome to TruthStream, and today we're here with Clay Clark and his buddy James, who we're going to hear more about. And Clay runs something that you guys might be familiar with. It's a tour. People gather together. They talk about what's actually going on in the world, and we're very excited to have these two gentlemen here. So without further ado, welcome to TruthStream, gentlemen.
I appreciate you very much for allowing us to be here. And I'll just tell you, just for real quick backstory. 5 years ago, if you look me up, I've never deleted my podcasts, so therefore I'm not having a revisionist look into my life. But 5 years ago, I was recording the Thrive Time Show business podcast, where I would say, welcome to the Thrive Time Show business podcast, where we talk about business school without the BS. We will never, ever talk about religion or politics. No, folks, because it's business school without the BS. And we interviewed, John Maxwell and Damon John and Wolfgang Puck. Insert the name of famous celebrity entrepreneur. And I never, ever, ever thought I would be doing a Reawaken America tour. I always voted libertarian or conservative, but I never thought I'd be doing something. And when the lockdowns happened, I knew, because of research, I'm a researcher, that the models said that 2.2 million people would die are false. I knew that the polymerase chain reaction tests were false to inflate the cases. I knew COVID was treatable with budesonide, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. I knew that the system and method for testing for COVID-19 was patented in 2015. I knew that. And I knew that this thing called the Great Reset was happening. So I knew those things, but I didn't know I would be doing this. So what I did, and I encourage all the listeners out there to hopefully use this to encourage you. I just knew that I wasn't going to comply. So I told my wife, if they do a lockdown, I'll sue the mayor of Tulsa and I'll turn my building into a church. That's what I'll do. I'll sue the mayor of Tulsa, turn my building into a church if the church is locked down. So I did that. Next thing you know, Sean Foyt's doing praise and worship. Next thing you know, we have 1,000 people attending our Thursday night events and 500 people attending our Thursday night events. Next thing you know, I meet General Flynn at one of our events. Next thing I know, he and I are talking and he says, how do you know all this? I go, this is obsessively all I try to do is save our country. And he says to me, you're a true believer. I said, yes, I am. And then fast forward, James met us at the Reawaken America Tour in Pennsylvania, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
And I believe that you slept in a car to afford to go. Is this right?
I did. I did.
And we let people name their price to come to these events. Okay. So anybody out there, you can afford to go. And so I think right away, the guard of like, oh, these guys are trying to profiteer from this. They're trying to take advantage of this. That goes away and people understand we're sincere. And then General Flynn and I get there at 5 a.m. to greet everybody. And through that process, we met James. And, through a series of events, I offered James a job, and James now works here. So when you go to timetofreeamerica.com and you request tickets at an unorthodox event where you can name your price, you probably have a 1 in 3 chance of talking to James, myself, or somebody else. And so that's why James is here. And I wanted to bring James on today's show because he personifies what Reawakening America is, because most people, they know something's wrong. And they want to do what they can, and then when they come to these events, they get connected and they're able to make a dent in the universe.
Well, yeah, I've been to 2 of them, one in Anaheim, and then Scott and I went to the one in Salem last year, 2022, and we met Nurse Aaron, and who else did we meet there?
Oh gosh, so many people. So much fun.
Lee Dundas.
Oh yeah.
Gene Ho. It's it's been amazing. So how did this idea to put on this event come into play? I mean, it's an amazing idea, and you're inspiring a lot of people. So please, anything you can tell.
Well, not to mock at all, nothing blasphemous, but I just mean this since I was in bed, I was trying to sleep, and I felt like God was talking to me. And I have a cat. I have cats, and the cats. Do you have a cat?
I don't.
Okay, I have a cat that likes to kind of do this to me while I'm sleeping. And I just, if you're out there, folks, and you want to know about my sleeping patterns, I typically go to bed at 9, and then I wake up every hour on the hour. I'm not kidding. I wake up at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and then I eventually just give up and I go to work. So I sleep from 9 to 3, but it's usually till 2, and I just get up and go because that's just how I'm wired. And I couldn't sleep at all, though. And I'm like profusely sweating, dude. I'm not a sweaty sleeper. No, I sleep with it cold. I'm not a sweaty sleeper. And so my wife is like, "What's wrong with you? You're like a wet otter. You're like a wet eel. It's gross. What's wrong with you? You're like a otter or in bed, you know?" She's like, "Are you okay, Seal Man?" And I just couldn't sleep, and I was sweating. And she's like, "What is wrong with you? You're just gross." And I said, "I feel like God wants me to do a reawaken thing, a reopen thing, a pushback thing, reopen thing with General Flynn to show the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud. But we're supposed to let people name their price." And my wife's like, "Are you coherently speaking right now? What are you saying?" Because I said, that's what I'm supposed to do. Now, again, I'm not somebody who likes politics at all. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. Meaning I don't like the Republican Party. I don't like the Democrat Party. I agree with the ideals that are espoused by the Republican Party, but they don't actually do them. You know, the Republicans say, "We're going to lower taxes," and then they spend like a bunch of drunken sailors and run up a deficit. And then the Democrats are like, "We're going to raise your taxes," and they do. And then they also spend like a bunch of runaway drunken sailors. And so both parties, Republicans are like, "We're pro-life, except when we're not," which is a lot of the time, And we're pro-First and Second Amendment, except when we're not, which is a lot. And then the Democrats are the same. It's crazy. So I called General Flynn. Boop, 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 boop. "Hey, General Flynn, here's the deal. I feel like we're supposed to team up to do an event where we expose the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, and get people back to God." And then General Flynn, without any hesitation, says, "I know, but it has to happen through a church. Let's do it." So I said, "When do you want to do it?" He told me the day on the calendar. And the day he told me, the day he wanted to do it was something like 44 days after then. And I'm going, done. Let's go. So, and I've, in my life, before all this, before I met James, before I met you guys, years ago, I used to have America's largest wedding DJ / corporate entertainment company for events. So I used to do 4,000 events a year. So I know how to do sound systems, lights, protocols, security, logistics. I get it. I know how to fill it up. There's a process to it. So I got a hold of Jim Caviezel, got a hold of Flynn, and I said, "Hey, let's pick the date. Let's go." So we got the date. But then I didn't know that every single church that had told me that they would host my event would bail. I predicted it. I did. I mean, I told a few people, I said, they're going to bail. And they did bail. But Rhema Bible College stood up, and I didn't really know Rhema Bible College. And they said they were a client of mine at the time. They still are, but I didn't really know where they fell on things. And they said, "Yeah, we'll do it." And we had 7.1 million people streamed the event. 50,000 people requested tickets.
Wow.
And then we had 5,000 ticketed sold within 40 something days. So that was what happened. And I thought, well, we're done. I mean, we did it. Woo! Luke, it's like, "Luke, you can fire your shot." Han Solo comes in, clears the path. Luke's, was it Darth Vader's kind of irritated about the situation. Luke Skywalker's going down the ditch in Star Wars. His targeting computer's turned off. Obi-Wan's talking to him. He's about ready to fire. And Han Solo's like, "Take your shot, kid. Let's go." And then Darth Vader's like, "No, this isn't fair." And I thought we had fire the shot. We fire the shot. And then "You may fire when ready." And then the Death Star blows up. And I thought we're done, And then Flynn calls me. Unbelievable. He says, "Hey, could we do one more? Like you and me, Florida. And I go, yeah, let's do one more. Let's do one more. And my wife says, one more? Because for 40 something days, all you did was 8 interviews a day, every single day.
Right. Of course.
Religion and politics. You never talked about it. It was easier knowing you then, buddy. You want to do it? I can. I'm going, yeah. So then and then now here we are 3 years later. And I'm going, well, we're doing one more. So I just know we've done 23. I think we have our final 3. I know it will be our final 3, and I'll tell you why. Roger Stone, who's a great patron. You met Roger.
I've met Roger.
Okay, I think Roger signed a hat for you. You met who all have you met?
I've met Eric
Trump,
Don Jr.
Don Jr.
I've met Cash Patel, Devin Nunes, Peter Navarro. Yep. I met them all.
Roseanne.
I met Roseanne
Jim
too.
Brewer?
Jim Brewer.
Okay. Sean Foyt.
Mel K. Amanda Grace.
Who'd you not met? Who'd you not meet?
At this point, I think I've not met anybody.
Okay, but anyway, so anyway, Roger Stone was on my show 2 weeks ago, and Roger says, I said, Roger, how would you describe the Reawaken tour? And he said, well, we're all either going to the big house or the White House. So, I mean, and what's happened is like Gideon in the Bible, there's a Gideon 300 where Gideon started off with an army of thousands of people, and it was whittled down to like a few hundred people. That's kind of what's happened with the speakers. And so now when you look at our lineup, it's pretty much Trump's entire inner circle. I mean, it's Trump's lead attorney, Alina Habba, it's General Flynn, it's Mike Lindell, it's Cash Patel, it's Eric Trump, it's Don Jr. It's just the team. It's the real team. And we're here, and most of the people that are the keynote speakers will be going into the White House if Trump returns. And if not, I mean, we're talking, all of us are being sued or subpoenaed or persecuted. I am. And that's what's happening. So we're going to do 3 events. We have Tulare, California coming up it's just outside of Fresno, December 15th and 16th. Then we have somewhere in the upper Midwest, Eric Trump and General Flynn will let me know somewhere in, April-ish. And the final one will be in October. And so they'll be spaced out about 4 to 5 months out there. And I would just describe our events are like the educational. Whereas the Trump rallies are more motivational, if I had to describe it, how that fit. And it's not to just be a slight on either one of the events. There's elements of motivation at our events. There's elements of education at Trump's. But what I'm saying is we're trying to educate the electorate headed into the election. And we now have, millions of people that stream every event. And we're just trying to make sure people know the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, mainstream media fraud. And there's no bogusness on our tour.
Right. Well, and I think a big part of my awakening and his is learning that this is biblical. And for me, it was watching a woman named Melissa Redpill talk about Revelations and how this is actually, getting the evil either off the planet or at least much more minimized. Can you explain how this ties into the biblical component of things? That'd be awesome.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, if Melissa Redpill is the most optimistic view of the future, and then if the far most negative view of the future would be Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping couldn't be here today. But if Xi Jinping is the most negative, maybe if Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, Xi Jinping, they all had a baby, and it was a big, beautiful Marxist baby. That would be the far negative, and then Melissa Redpill be the most positive. But I'm just going to fire off the facts, and we can do is kind of a good flow here. Okay, I'm like a hot potato. I'm gonna throw out the fact. Give me your quick reaction to it. Okay, here we go.
All right,
here we go. So Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5-6, it states that the Bible states that there'll be a time where biblical Iran, biblical Ethiopia, so it's biblical Persia, which is now called Iran, biblical Ethiopia, which is still called Ethiopia, biblical Libya, which is still called Libya, and biblical Gomer, that's called Turkey. They're all going to come against Israel at the same time. What say you?
Yeah, and that's what's going on right now. You have Russia backing Iran, you have China backing Palestine, and they're all going after Israel. Okay, now again, if you think about what's the most profound and the most unlikely to be a coincidence, I'm going to fire off another one, okay? Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14 states that this is wild, that when the Euphrates River dries up, China and Russia will team up. Revelation chapter 16,
verse 12 through 14, it says, when the Euphrates River dries up, the false prophet will show up. This is Yuval Noah Harari, who's praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, Gates, MIT, Stanford, Harvard, late night TV. He sold more copies of his books than anybody in America in the past 2 years, this guy. And his name in Hebrew actually means the father of music, as in the days of Noah ascends to the mountaintop. That's what his name means.
Wow.
He's hanging out with Emmanuel Macron, the head of France, whose name is God with us and the mark. Euphrates River dries up, false prophet shows up, China and Russia team up. What do you think?
Yeah, and they're teaming up right now to form the BRICS. The BRICS pay Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They're all getting together to destroy the US dollar.
So, those are just two things that are happening, and you go, come on. You're 2 for 2. You have two things very coincidental. I like what you're doing here, but you're one of those woo-woo guys. That's what people say to me. They go, you're one of those woo-woo guys, aren't you? And I say, I know what you mean when you say woo-woo, because I used to classify anybody who ever quoted the Bible as woo-woo. So Matthew chapter 24 from the Bible states, all this stuff's going to happen before the return of Christ. Famines, pestilences, wars, nation rising against nation. Enemies will be in your own home. You don't like that? Go to Mark chapter 13. It says the same thing. Luke chapter 21. If you don't like that, that's where Jesus is actually explaining how it all ends. Does that freak you out? Are you go? Is it? Have you read it? Are you curious? What are your thoughts?
It's wild. It's just wild. Back to you.
But you previous to working in this office, you weren't reading any of that stuff, were you?
I wasn't reading it, but how I got this job, I really prayed to Jesus. I said, I will believe in you with the faith of a mustard seed. Just bless me so big that you'll be undeniable to me. And the next thing I know, I'm talking to Don Jr. The next thing I know, I'm talking to Eric Trump. I'm talking to Kash Patel. I'm talking to General Flynn. And
it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Crazy.
And we let people name their price. So it's like, if there was a profit motive, if you're like, as a discerning TruthStream listener, if you're like, oh yeah, I can smell a profit motive. Unfortunately, we're not profitable. When I say unfortunately, I mean literally unfortunately. I mean, it would be great if we smelled a profit. If we smelled a profit, it'd be good if I could pay. It would be exciting if I'd paid myself a total of $10 an hour, which would be $1,000 a week. But I haven't paid myself anything. In fact, it would be great if it didn't cost me $50 an hour going backwards to do these events.
Well,
that's not the reality.
I say that Scott and I were able to go last year because we were able to name our price. So it's a real thing. We've been to one of these events. They're fantastic.
Funny story. I'm in Dallas. This is before I knew you. This guy had handlebar mustache, and he's like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." This guy's. I'm not mocking the guy, but it's a true story. He's one of these like Harley riding guys, and I'm in line greeting people, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, hope you got your $20." And he's just kind of a jerk to me, and I said, all right. What do you mean? He goes, I paid my 20. Oh, I'll wait for the upsell, buddy. Oh, yeah. It's like Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. It was like Hulk Hogan, came riding on a Harley. He was just super stereotypical. He was pissed. And he had a bandana on, and he was pissed. Oh, yeah. I hope you're gonna enjoy your upsell. I know what you're doing, So day one, he leaves. Oh, upsell's coming day 2, huh? Because there's no upsell. Day 2, he walks up to him, and he's like, brother, I got to tell you something. I had it wrong, man. I had you wrong. You know why I had you wrong? Because all you suit-wearing politician, this is at a church. And he's like, you got my love, though, brother. And he just gives me a big wad of cash. True story. So he says, it was great, man. It was awesome. Thanks for not, So, and then I look at it, and this guy gave me like $1,000. Wow. And I was like, okay. And, so that kind of stuff is happening a lot, where people are just they're coming because it's free or it's $1 or they heard of a friend said. I mean, where else can you go and hear 70 speakers over 2 days for any amount that's affordable for the family? I mean, I used to MC Republican events back in the day. They would hire me to MC, and they would charge like $1,200 a plate. And you got a bunch of people sitting at circular tables. Half of them are facing the other way, and they get up and they go, ladies and gentlemen, our next presenter is from the great state of Oklahoma, the governor of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt. You're like, what is this, an androgynous announcer? Where do we find this thing? Have you heard the CPAC announcements of Governor Kevin Stitt? Have you heard this?
I don't think I have either.
Let me, if you go to YouTube and type in CPAC, Kevin Stitt, this is our governor. And I hope you guys can hear this.
and gentlemen, please welcome from Oklahoma, Governor Kevin Stitt.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Let me back it up. It's like, let's get a transgendered AI robot to make it.
Welcome from Oklahoma, Governor Kevin Stitt.
Wow.
And no one's clapping because no one's there, but they make you wait. Listen to what he says. Everybody, welcome up Kevin Stitt from Oklahoma. Listen to as he just panders to an audience that paid a lot of money. CPAC 2022. Listen to this. This is the kind of jackassery we're forced to live with. Here we go.
Good evening. Man, excited to be here with you. My name is Kevin Stitt. I'm the governor of the great state of Oklahoma.
Wait for it. Wait for it. It goes.
It is great to be with you here in the freedom-loving state of Florida. Florida comes in second only to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, America's freest state.
Because we did a lockdown in Oklahoma. Hey, everybody, I don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, from the great state of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for being here. You know, it's the second freest state, Oklahoma. I mean, Florida. It's so ridiculous. You know, and people are tired of it.
Like no one was even there. I mean, that just sounds
there. That's how it is. That's why I'm saying is like, if you took Dave Chappelle at his peak, the raw truth of Dave Chappelle, the raw truth of George Carlin, the enthusiasm of college football. That's how I would describe our events. They're just, it's like you just know the speaker. There's no teleprompter. And this was a problem, guys. In the first couple events, I had a wonderful speaker who came up to me and they said, "Can I get a prompter?" I said, "No." I said, "Why?" Because no, we just, SM58 mic. You just get up there. And one of the events, I won't mention the guy's name, but the last guy that demanded a teleprompter was a complete jerk and he won't be invited back. Remember this guy? He was, yeah, you remember this guy? Don't say his name. You remember this guy, though?
I think so.
He was super like, I got to have a teleprompter, got to have a And again, I only invite people that are sharing the truth. I don't do the diva thing. But this guy was like, I need a teleprompter. I need a prompter. I need smoke. I need fog. I need a remote. Need to put. Our events are just raw, you know? And so if you want to hear unfiltered truth, you're going to love our events. It's kind of like, I guess, the cadence of a no-huddle offense.
Right.
We move, you know? But back to Bible stuff, you know, Genesis chapter 6, the Bible states that the earth was filled with perpetual violence and wickedness, Genesis chapter 6, before the flood. And Matthew chapter 24 tells us that it will be like as in the days of Noah before the flood. Now, the word Hamas means violence and perpetual wickedness, and the earth is now filled with Hamas. Again, this is what's happening. Now, someone says, well, what's going on in Gaza? I've got a cousin that knows a guy who lives in Gaza, and they're people too. Okay, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not, you know. But the Bible, Amos chapter 1, verse 7, and Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 4 tells you very soberly, very intensely that Gaza is going to be wiped out before the return of Christ. It doesn't say the people of Gaza will be wiped out, but the Bible talks about it. It says it, but I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof. This is Amos 1:7, Zephaniah chapter 2. I mean, that is an intense chapter. Now, Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1. It states that Damascus, Syria will be destroyed before the return of Christ. And I don't know if people know this, but in June of this year, the head of China, Xi Jinping, he flew out, the head of Palestine, to say, we're going to support you financially and militarily. And since that time, weapons are being shipped into Damascus, Syria. And James, what have you heard Israel saying recently about Damascus, Syria? Have you heard anything?
They're going to have to take it out.
It's unbelievable. I mean, this is real stuff, you know? And then people are like, yeah, but the cost of orange juice is too much. And that's the big issue, because where's that in the Bible, dude? Well, Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 through 6 prophesied hyperinflation. You know, so as you see these things happen, people say, well, why is all this happening in Geneva? I don't understand. Geneva, you know. Let me read it to you. It says, Revelation 9:11. And Revelation 2:13, everyone look it up. Revelation 9:11, Revelation 2:13, it tells you that Satan will live in Geneva, that Satan lives in Geneva. James, before you worked here, did you know that?
I had no idea.
But it tells you that Satan lives in Geneva. It says Satan dwells where Apollo, the former temple of Apollo, used to be, and where Antipas was martyred, which is Geneva. So that's why CERN is in Geneva. The World Economic Forum is in Geneva. The United Nations is in Geneva. Gavi's in Geneva. The World Health Organization's in Geneva. And that's why they all have that 666 theme. You know, the CERN logo is 666. They invented the World Wide Web, which in Hebrew, W is 6. So WWW is 666. The World Economic Forum, their logo is 666.
Yeah. Have you got a chance to see that 4-minute and 44-second short film done by Pascal and his team that Mike Flynn retweeted and has over 615 million views? Is that partly why you're bringing up Geneva, maybe?
Well, I have been bringing this up for about 3 consecutive years, but I will tell people that when the co-founder of the World Economic Forum, his son, as you're referencing, he's out there sounding the alarm. Now, I'm not attacking him, okay?
Sure.
And I'm going to be very clear. I am ignorant of vehicle maintenance. I wish I could, but I am. So if someone were to, every once in a while we have these Reawaken tour events, and a lot of manly men come to these events, and they're backstage. I'm also ignorant of guns. Okay, I have a lot of guns. Don't know how they work. I can shoot them, but I don't know. I don't really appreciate guns. I'm not really interested. I just want to make sure that I have enough of them, I think. But so there's guys who are backstage who are talking. These security guys are like, "Bro, did you get a?" What's some of the language they throw out about guns?
They throw everything out. They talk about jumping out of helicopters and airplanes,
But
and
they say things about the make of the gun. They'll be like, "Didn't you get to whatever with the silencer, with the whatever, with the
silencer and the holographic sights and the extended mag?"
These are the security people backstage. They're always talking like, and I got one that holds this many rounds and that many rounds with a banana clip, but you know, this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but anyway. So most people are biblically illiterate in the way that I don't know about car maintenance. You know, most people don't know about the Bible. So I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just trying to help somebody. So Revelation chapter 13, verse 2, the Bible tells us what the image of the beast will look like. And now that's called the Guardian of the Nations statue. If you look it up, the UN built a statue that exactly fulfills Revelation 13:2. And now you got the CBDCs. This is the new programmable central bank digital currency. It's called MIT CBDC. Look it up on Google, MIT CBDC. You could look it up at Google, type in MIT Quantum Dot, MIT Quantum Dot. This is a technology, James, that stores your medical and financial records under your skin, so you can't buy or sell without it. And the website that actually shows how all the technology works, this is the official website. It's called quant.network, and that explains how the MIT Quantum Dot works. And the CEO of the company, Gilbert Verdian, describes it as programmable, expirable, non-binary money. And James, in your mind, what does that mean if it's programmable, non-binary, expirable money that has to go under your skin?
Well, it sounds like the mark of the beast, and it also sounds like they could force you to on what they could control what you can and cannot spend your money on.
Just want you to know this guy, James, total conspiracy theorist. I'm just kidding.
But why the non-binary part in a financial? That's a really interesting subject.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's see if we can get him on the line here. We can't, but we'll see if we can get him. This is they call it non-binary money. And James, have you noticed there's like a push for non-binary genders?
Yeah, they just, you know what? They want to make everything that they can gay. That's
Thank you. Okay, so this is here. This is right here. This is the CEO of Quant.network, Gilbert Verdian.
So money is evolving from a very binary thing, which is where it is today, to a very complicated, intelligent form of money, which we call smart money.
Interesting.
Yeah. The financial system will become so complicated as AI takes over more and more of the action that it will be just too complicated for the human mind. So how does a system functions when no human really understands it? The nature of money is going to change quite dramatically.
Okay, so that's what they're talking about, is non-binary, programmable, expiring money.
You know, this clears a lot up for me because I have a bunch of $100 bills that identify as 20s. And I've been trying to figure that out for a while. So thank you for that. Yeah.
I like that. You know, the thing is these guys, they're rolling out the Great Reset to an audience, your listeners get it, but a lot of people don't get it. The other day I went to my son plays drums, and he's actually getting pretty good. So we were at the high school football game, and he's getting pretty good now. So for anybody who doesn't play drums, you know, you can tell when somebody's really, really good. But if you are a drummer, you can hear some of the nuances and stuff. So what he's doing now is he's just kind of screwing around, you know, so the band is playing and they're playing a pretty simple beat. It's like, da-da, And my son's like, you know, and then the director of the band is like, and we're done here. And he's like, everything's like a drum solo, you know, because he's just feeling the flow right now. And then they're doing it again. And the drummer's just supposed to be going, that's the thing. And my son's like, you know, just having fun with it because he's like at a different level right now. And so what's happening is the Great Reset, the whole, you know, Klaus Schwab, you've all know Harari, they're like just screwing around now. They're just like double time, non-binary money, they're just throwing it out. They don't even care anymore. Meanwhile, you know, the audience who's biblically illiterate is going, I don't understand. Is this what they call music? Because I think there's something's going on. There's music, you know. Meanwhile, they're just screwing around at this point. I mean, they're just showing off. I mean, they're in your face with it. I mean, it's wild. I mean, so you start to say, well, what is happening? 1 Timothy chapter 4 tells us in the latter times, people will actually depart from the faith and they'll be abstaining from eating meat. So that's why you've all know Harari's calling for banning meat. Daniel chapter 7 describes what the Antichrist prophet will look like. Revelation chapter 11, verse 1 through 2 says the Antichrist prophet will actually call for rebuilding the temple. And now Yuval's doing these interviews where he's going, we're going to need to rebuild the temple. And what? I mean, come on now. So he's saying it out loud. So in 1970, Klaus Schwab wrote a report called The Club of Rome Report. The Club of Rome Report, we also 1970. And he's talking about breaking the earth into 10 economic kingdoms, which is what Revelation chapter 17, verse 11 through 14 said. So this is all prophesy. You know, you're starting to see the Neurosity crown and Elon Musk's Neuralink. They're starting to say they can connect everyone's brain together. And so people who don't know the Bible, they're like, I don't know it. I don't think that feels like I don't know what's wrong with that, but I think there's something wrong with it. Well, Revelation chapter 17, verse 13 talks about they're going to connect all the brains together. So you're seeing these things fulfilled. And now Elon Musk is saying with Neuralink, they can upload your consciousness to another body and you can live forever. Furthermore, they can take something that was dead and bring it back using CRISPR technology like the woolly mammoth. So Revelation chapter 17, verse 8 says that the eighth king will come back onto the scene. So the eighth king once was, but then isn't, and then shall be again. Okay, so Nero's name, if you look up Nero's name, the Roman Emperor Nero used to round up Christians. This is so crazy. If you've ever shot off fireworks, this is something you need to know. Anytime you ever hear about a Roman candle, let me tell you what a Roman candle was. Nero used to round up Christians and he would make them drink like gasoline, essentially, and oil, and then he would set them on fire. And he used that to light the streets. He banned the use of lamps, and they had to light Christians and set them on fire. So when you'd walk down the street at night, the roads were lit up by humans burning alive, Christians. Oh, that's what a Roman candle is. That's what a Roman candle was. That's Nero. And Musk keeps talking about Rome. If you notice on social media, they keep saying, if you think about Rome. Well, Nero mathematically is 666, and everybody should look it up. The word Nero, Emperor Nero, is 666. And so with Musk's technology, he's saying you could bring back somebody that once was. So you could see where it would be possible to bring back the image of Nero, and you could put that into an AI, and all of a sudden they have AI Jesus right now, right? They have AI is blasphemous Jesus. They could bring back an AI Nero. I mean, this is real stuff. It says 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, when you hear calls for peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come quickly. You've got Emmanuel Macron now calling for peace and safety. The United Nations is calling for peace and safety. Also, the Bible talked about there'd be a time where no one would have a job, no one would be working, and the Holy Spirit would be muted within you, and all the business people would be deceived by sorcery. Well, that's happening now. The World Economic Forum and all these business leaders were deceived by sorcery. Sorcery means pharmakia, and pharmakia means sorcery. And Elon Musk is now talking about universal basic income and AI eating up all of the jobs. That's Revelation chapter 18, verse 22 through 23. And finally, this is very important to know. The Bible prophesied that right before the return of Christ, the people of Israel would all flee back to their homeland in like an exponential, increasingly wild way. And there's so many Israelis now. Like in Arkansas, just this week, did you see the footage of the Israelis in Arkansas? Did you see this?
Yeah, the farmers going back to the farmland.
Well, there's a lot of these Israelis in Arkansas. And I'm not picking on Arkansas. I'm just giving you an example. There's some Israeli shop owners who people are these Antifa type crowds are now throwing bricks in their windows. They're threatening the Jewish business owners. And so what's happening is all these Jewish business owners and Jewish families and people, they no longer feel safe. They don't feel safe on college campuses. They don't feel safe in the small business. They don't feel safe at the restaurant. And so many of them are flying back to Israel and moving back to Israel at record numbers right now. So all these things are coming to pass. And if you want to look that up, that's Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 15 through 16. Jeremiah verse 16, verse 15 through 16. That's Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 3. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. Hosea chapter 3, verse 4 through 5. Amos chapter 9, verse 15. And Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 17. So it's all happening at a massive speed.
Yeah, you're blowing my mind, Clay. And the thing is, I remember being really critical of literalist interpretations of the Bible. Like, clearly these are metaphors, or, this is a parable or whatnot. And then I started to see things like the rivers running with, red, and, the raining of frogs, and, the antelope dropping dead. And I thought, geez, this is quite literal. And then Mickey Clan did the whole thing with the stars and the heavens. And now this, the thing is, we live in such amazing times. I mean, this has got to be the most exciting time for a human to be alive. And the weirdest thing is, so many people are completely unaware of any of this. You look around, and a lot of people are doing their 40-hour work week, and they're mowing the lawn, and nobody's having these conversations. I mean, our circles, we talk about this constantly. How do you account for that?
Well, let me just say this. I want everyone to look this up right now, okay? Everyone needs to look this up right now. You just assume I'm lying to you. Assume I'm making this up. I'm not lying, but just assume I am. Nielsen reported, and I'll pull it up so James, so you can see it. Nielsen reported that the average American is now consuming 11.3 hours a day of media.
All
so
right.
the article, could you read this real quick, James, from Nielsen? Dateline July 2018.
Time flies. U.S. adults now spend nearly half a day interacting with media.
Really read it, though. Come on.
The world has never been more connected, and U.S. audiences have never had as many options to access content as they do in these days.
Come on.
In short, consumers in the U.S. seem like they can't get enough content.
Come on.
And the possibilities for marketers to reach them, while fragmented, is an opportunity that just is too good to pass on. American adults spend over 11 hours per day listening.
What was that?
11 hours.
Oh,
that's 11 hours per day listening to, watching, reading, or generally interacting with media.
Bring it home.
Oh my goodness. So according to the first quarter of 2018,
here's the problem. People don't respect you as a religious authority because you're not getting sweaty and you're not really getting into it. Now, if you would get sweaty and get all, can we just try again? Go back and read the last two lines you just read and just try to get sweaty.
So American adults are spending over 11 hours per day listening to, watching, reading, or generally interacting with the media.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. 11 hours.
Don't act shocked that the audience is responding so well. So that's what happens is a lot of times back in the day, I mean this, I'm having a little fun with it, but back in the day, the news was delivered from by the pastor. So if you were the pastor of a church back in the day, this is how it would go. You'd say, all right, everybody, welcome to church. How you doing? Okay, good. We're going to do a little praise and worship here. We got an organ. We don't have a fog. We don't have fog. We don't have a big church, and we don't have small font Bibles. We all got big font Bibles and small churches. Hey, we all got big font Bibles and small churches. Now we got big churches and small font Bibles. Okay, you saw that. Okay. So we're gonna sing a song, and the song, it's crazy, but it's gonna be like scripture. We're gonna sing scripture that's actually in song form. Like, we're not going to sing a song about how we feel about the Bible. It's going to be more of a scripture and song form. We're going to sing it. Okay, everyone's singing. Okay, we're done. Okay, good. Thank you. You did that. We're good now. Okay, so now we're going to preach the Bible. We're going to open up our Bible. And there's a Bible in front of every pew. There's a pew, and the Bible was there, and it was a large font. I mean, you open, this is my book, Rich Dad Guide to Investing, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing by Kiyosaki, but this is a large font. You can read this thing.
Right.
They go, everybody grab the Bible in front of you because it's there. And the pastor will be looking at you like, are you not grabbing a Bible, son? Because it's a small church and there's a big Bible. And the dad's going, son, I hate you if I spareth the rod. I don't want to have to take you out. And I go, so people are reading the Bible. They're going, everyone open your Bible to Genesis. Everyone's, because they wanted, you didn't want to be the guy who's not reading the Bible. So everybody went line by line, verse by verse, and the Bible was taught. And then the pastor would say, now, folks, I want you all to know today, the redcoats, the British, are seeking to take away our freedoms, okay? So what that means, everybody needs to know that, okay? Everyone needs to know. This is how it goes. This is how it works. Governments are instituted amongst men to uphold our rights that are God-given. But our rights come from God, and governments simply uphold those rights. So what we need to do today is we need to fight for religious freedom. So I want everybody to wear your Sunday best to church next Sunday, but bring your rifle with you because the redcoats are a-coming. And people were like, all right. And this is how it was. Now, let me walk into the modern church right now. I'm not mocking church. I'm just trying to tell you what it is now. So you ask the question, why aren't people aware? Now it's like this. All right, everybody. It's the guy who does praise and worship has to kind of be a little bit like he has to have just woken up to sell, All right, everybody. I just got in from like Utah, and because he has to seem like he just woke up. That's the key. That's the modern. Everybody, now I'm going to crank up some fog, get some more fog, get some fog. And we're going to sing, and they sing a song, and it kind of feels like Imagine Dragons, and maybe you like the music, maybe you don't, it's fine. But there's a lot of fog, and the pastor gets up, and he's not as cool as the praise and worship guy, but he's cool, but he's not as cool. The praise and worship guy's the coolest, but he's just cool. And he gets up, and he talks about how, guys, if God was Jell-O, would you eat it? God, I mean, think about what if Taylor Swift was God? Would you go to that concert? And people are like, yes, no, yeah, yeah. I mean, and then there's all this weird, like the pastors comparing God to Taylor Swift or Taylor Swift to Jell-O or Jell-O to God. You know what I'm saying? There are always these weird analogies, and then the pastor's like, in the Bible it says, it says. Proverbs 10:4 says, God blesses those that work hard. And someone in the church is like, I think it says God blesses those, God blesses the diligent and punishes the slacker. I think that's what it says. And the pastor's like, Bible says you'll be blessed. The Bible says you'll be blessed. That's what it says. It's in there. Anyway, so I was going down the road the other day, and I was talking to a guy, and then there's no scripture quoted. And then there's some guy who claims to speak in tongues. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. I don't know. Maybe the Bible says that these things happen, but does he have a spiritual gift? I don't know. And all of a sudden he has a good word. He's like, can I come on down? I got a good word. Yeah, I got a good word. Now people are looking for a good word because they don't read the good word. You see what I'm saying? People don't read the good word, the Bible. So people are now looking for a good word. So I just want to come on up. I want to tell y'all a vision I've got. They're like, okay, well, sure. Now, my vision is we're all going to be blessed, and we're going to be booming, We got a Super Bowl party this Sunday. The Chiefs are playing. Taylor Swift. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. And people are like, is that guy on our team? All right, come on, y'all. I'm excited. Who loves Taylor Swift up in here? Who wants a good word? You all going to the Olive Garden? Because I'm going to Olive Garden. All right, all right. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Everybody, let's go to Olive Garden. Woo! And that's what they do. And that's church today. That's what it is. Like, wow. You could go every Sunday and never learn about the book of Acts or the book of Revelation or the book of Genesis or the book of Daniel. You could go every single Sunday. So like an example, they have to have a red heifer before they rebuild the temple, so we're clear. In Numbers chapter 19, verse 122 says that you have to have a red heifer to rebuild the temple. Okay. And you've all know Harari's calling to rebuild the temple. In Texas, just delivered red heifers that are unblemished to Israel for the first time in a generation So they now have the red heifers ready to go. And I think if you go to 100 churches in Tulsa, you'll probably find 0 that talk about it. You know, and then like John chapter 15 says, Christians will be persecuted for their faith. Matthew 5:10 says, blessed are ye who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for ye shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. People don't know these things. And so they have a hard time. Revelation chapter 13, verse 13 says that the Antichrist will be able to bring down fire from heaven. Revelation 13:13. Do you know that when the Maui fire started, that the NORAD, the satellite tracking system, discovered that a CCP satellite was flying right over Lanai at the exact second that fire came down?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so you would go, oh, that makes sense. I get it now. That's possible. I mean, when you start to talk about Yuval Noah Harari, he says we need to upgrade humans into gods. What? I mean, the Bible in Genesis chapter 6, it tells you there was Nephilim, fallen angels that mated with humans to create the Nephilim. I bet you 99 out of 100 Christians don't know what Nephilim is. So, I mean, it's all just there. A little fun fact, I'll give you with one more. One fun fact for this is crazy. Or it's a not fun fact, but it's a fact. Gilgamesh was trying to, what did Gilgamesh? No. Nimrod was trying to build the Tower of Babel. James, have you heard about this story?
Yes.
He's trying to build the Tower of Babel, trying to get up there to heaven, right?
Right.
God confounds the languages and says, stop mocking me. And they began to babble. So it's like listening to Mike Pence speak now. Okay. Just everyone was babbling. Didn't make any sense. Talking in circles. And so they couldn't get the tower done. Well, Nimrod changed his name to Gilgamesh and was buried or interned underneath the Euphrates. And so when Barack Obama found Yuval Noah Harari, guess what project he was working on to bring back eternal life and to merge humans with animals, like you saw in the Egyptian architecture? What was it called, James?
The Gilgamesh Project.
The Gilgamesh Project. And now that the Euphrates River has dried up, they're finding the remains of Gilgamesh. And people say, why do the Freemasons have a G in their logo? It stands for Gilgamesh, the original Mason. And what they're doing right now is, if you look at Masons, they have a black and white floor, it's a checkered floor. And the idea is it's to teach a duality. This is why you need to listen to what Elon Musk says and then to what he's really saying. So I'll leave you with this final clip. So Elon Musk is now talking about how we as a culture are at the verge of no longer needing to work. Listen to this.
There's actually a real drug called Soma.
There is.
Yes. I'm like,
Let me take notes.
Did they actually?
Does Grok know about it? No, he probably will go to Brave New World.
We could ask it.
What would be the question?
Tell us about the drug called Soma.
Well, drug called Soma. It's gonna go to Brave New World, I think.
Well, there's a real drug as well.
Searching for Soma drug information. Oh boy. Soma, the wonder drug. By the way, I'm in fun mode.
Oh, okay, fun. Yeah, so it's talking about the real drug.
Oh, it's a muscle relaxant that's been around since the 1950s. It's used to treat muscle.
He's teaching people to go to Grok to ask them for advice, and Grok is telling them that the Soma drug is basically, it's indicating that it's okay to use it, is what it's saying. It may cause some dizziness. So listen to how Grok describes this drug that will paralyze your mind.
Oh boy. Soma, the wonder drug. By the way, I'm in fun mode.
Oh, okay, fun. Yeah, so it's talking about the real drug.
Oh, it's a muscle relaxant that's been around since the 1950s. It's used to treat muscle pain and discomfort, and it does this by altering the activity between neurons and the spinal cord. Now, Soma isn't just a pain reliever. It's also a bit of a sedative. It can make you feel a bit drowsy, so it's not something to take if you're planning on operating heavy machinery or trying to solve complex math equations. And it goes on and on. In conclusion, Soma is a drug that can be helpful for those dealing with muscle pain, but it's not without its risks. It's pretty good. Oh, wait a minute.
That's the real drug it's talking about.
That's the real drug.
Yeah.
And of course, the fun is always use it responsibly in accordance with the advice of a healthcare professional. And remember, in the end, the universe is probably just a giant computer simulation. So don't take anything too seriously. I love it.
Now we see the creation of a new massive class of useless people. As computers become better and better in more and more fields, there is a distinct possibility that computers will outperform us in most tasks and will make humans redundant. And then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games. But this doesn't sound like a very appealing future.
Soma for Brave New World is a different beast altogether. No, this Huxley's dystopian. Now, Soma is a drug that plays a central role in the society depicted.
Just so you know, it's called an evil laugh, just so we're clear. And that is a duality. It's a Freemason principle. It's called the evil laugh. It's so when you laugh at something that's evil, it's called the evil laugh. I just want to be very clear. So you'll notice that Kamala Harris does that. Elon Musk does that. So when he says something that's evil, he laughs. Just listen, he'll do it all the time.
But this doesn't sound like a very appealing future.
Soma for Brave New World is a different beast altogether. No, this Huxley's dystopian. Now, Soma is a drug that plays a central role in the society depicted in the book. It's a mood-altering, hallucinogenic drug that's used to keep the population docile and content. In the novel, to use Soma in Brave New World raises some interesting questions about the nature of happiness and the role of drugs in society. Oh, man.
Exactly. Is it better to live in a world where everyone is happy all the time, even if that happiness is artificial? It's a good question. This is what I mean. Like, do you wish for world peace and happiness all the time? Are you sure? Because that might be a society that is essentially sterile and ossified, that never changes, that is ultimately doomed.
This kind of tension between darkness and the light.
This is really a very good summary. It really gets to the point. This is not simply regurgitating Brave New World. It's actually getting to the salient element of Soma as a drug. Do you actually want to be in a situation where everyone is happy all the time, even though it's artificial? Or is it better to confront the challenges of life and experience the full range of human emotions, even if it means experiencing pain and suffering?
For those listening, by the way, Elon just read directly from Grok.
So you're seeing Elon Musk, and you all know Harari, they're now pushing the Brave New World agenda, and they're now pushing the use of drugs and computer games. And so that's where we're at. A lot to digest. I emailed you guys all 40 biblical references from today's show, so everyone can look it up and assume I've lost my mind.
Well, how recent was that conversation that you just played?
That Elon Musk, that would be Elon Musk on November 9th.
It wasn't that the counterpoint though that Elon was making was that that we don't want to be in a world where everyone is just under the influence of some drug and not experiencing the full range of emotion.
Let me say this is why everyone should just watch it yourself.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to this idea of the duality of the Freemasons, the black and the white. So Elon Musk, let me just tell you what things we can report to that there are facts. Elon Musk founded OpenAI with Sam Altman in 2015, using $1 billion of funding from Bill Gates. And I think everybody knows what Bill Gates is all about. Sam Altman and Yuval Noah Harari and Elon Musk are all advocating for universal basic income, for putting mRNA modifying nanotechnology under your skin. And Musk started a company called CureVac, which developed the COVID-19 vaccine mRNA technology at scale. They scaled out the ability to produce that mRNA technology. It's called CureVac. Elon Musk has stated that he would not mind using his CERN Hadron Colliders, or his boring company, BORING, his boring company, to increase the capacity and size of these CERN Hadron Colliders. That means Hadron is where you collide Hades with the underworld with the overworld. That's called the Hadron Collider at CERN. Elon Musk, he went to the Met Gala in 2018 when Grimes, his lady friend, she wore a crown, a Vanta black crown. Black is the color of death, crown as in queen of death. And so the Vanta black is made by a company called Surrey Nanosystems. They make carbon nanotubes that you can find in the shots. And Elon Musk wore a jacket that said New World Order on the back of it. Grimes, his lady friend at the time, she produced an album called Miss Anthropocene, and Miss Anthropocene prophesied COVID-19, the Great Reset, specifically the song We Appreciate Power, etc. Grimes likes to dress up like Baphomet for photo shoots. Elon Musk dressed up like Baphomet for his Halloween. And I can go on and on listing this stuff out, but what I can just say is they're going to present it as though, like, this is what Elon Musk is saying. I made OpenAI with Sam Altman. And now we have to merge with AI so that AI won't defeat us. He's actually saying that. So it's this duality of like, AI may kill us, but to save you from it, we have to merge with it. So it's Musk is talking. Let me just play this little clip here. He's talking about how you have to merge with it in order to protect yourself from it, which is again, it would be when you hear it, I mean, it's a bizarre argument that he makes, but it makes sense for people that have a hard time understanding the duality. So let me just give an example. This is Elon Musk talking about merging your brain with computers.
What is it that inhibits human machine symbiosis? It's the data rate. When you communicate, especially with a phone, you're moving your thumbs very slowly. So you're like moving your two little meat sticks at a rate that's maybe 10 bits per second, optimistically 100 bits per second. And computers are communicating at the gigabit level. We're already a cyborg, if you think about it. The computers are an extension of ourselves. And when we die, we have like a digital ghost. All of our text messages and social media.
Can you imagine that one day we would be able to download our human brain capacity into a Optimus?
Yes. I think that is, I'm not saying this is, I think it is possible, I think, to do that. It is possible.
Which would be a different way of eternal life, because we would also download our personalities into a body.
Yes, we could download the things that we believe make ourselves unique. We could effectively merge with artificial intelligence.
Okay, so you get the idea. So he's saying it's a threat, and the only way to stop it from taking over is to merge with it. It's a little crazy.
Strange position. Very strange position.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I know this is a dumb example, but this is trying to make it very simple. It's like, hey, James, there might be a mosquito problem in your home. And the only way to stop it is to introduce more mosquitoes into your home so we can attract the mosquitoes that are there.
Well, he literally says,
you know what I mean?
It's AI is the same as summoning the demon. And then, we're going to put the computer chips in your brain so that you could merge with the demon.
It's like me saying that if I bring plutonium into your backyard, it may cause explosions. So the only way to stop explosions is to go ahead and explode the plutonium. It's just sort of that. And it's so, the way he speaks, it's so confusing, and that it's hard for people to discern what he's saying. But I would just say this in closing. If you're out there today and you go to timetofreeamerica.com, everything we talked about on today's show is cited. I emailed you guys all of the verses we referenced. And again, if you want to request tickets for the Reawaken America tour, you can just go to timetofreeamerica.com, timetofreeamerica.com. And then finally, if you want to download the Reawaken America tour documentary for free, you can watch the documentary for free tonight at timetofreeamerica.com. Again, it's timetofreeamerica.com. And that features General Flynn, Pastor Archer Pulowski. It's professionally done, Mike Lindell, and it really does walk you through why we're doing this. But thank you guys for your time. I really do appreciate you.
Absolutely. And we want to thank you for being on it. And for those that don't know us, we're TruthStream with Joe and Scott, because there are more people finding out about our show. And where can people find us, Scott?
Well, we're over on X, formerly Twitter, which we're really hoping to build.
Telegram as well, Truth Social. And
YouTube, abbreviated version of us, of course.
And primarily Rumble.
We just want freedom now. We just want freedom now. So raise your minds and join the fight. Unveil the truth from darkness to light. Where we go one.